Hi guys, welcome to present day. We're in January 2023 and it's part 3 of my wood stove video series. It's a beautiful day out there, the sun is shining, but it's brutally cold and I am a pretty crappy Canadian in that I can't handle the cold. I'm kind of just hiding inside, but the day is looking nicer, the sun wants to peek up, and I'm about to get started. Luckily, I have a bunch of stuff I could do on the inside. I'm wondering if I can cut this in place or if I have to remove it and take it out. We'll see. If I can do it in place, I will, because sliding it in and out is a bit of a pain in the neck. But before I can do that, I really do need to remove this pipe here. And before I can do that, I have to head outside and remove all the stuff on the outside. And that's what I'm avoiding because it's very cold out there. But you know what? I just have to toughen up because the longer I procrastinate with this, the longer I'll be without a wood stove. So if I don't start this in the morning and get it done by the end of the day, I could be without a wood stove and I would surely perish in the freezing cold. So I just need to toughen up. I'm gonna put the big jacket on, get some gloves on, and head out to the scaffolding and get this thing disassembled. Brr. Can already tell this is gonna suck. So hopefully I can get this thing off fairly quickly and get back inside where it's not so cold. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Yeah? What do you think of this cold weather? I don't like it, but you have a nice fur coat. It's very cold. Let this be a lesson to all of you out there. Don't do your wood stove upgrades in the winter. Do that stuff in the summer. I should have taken my own advice. I was a fool, but hopefully it doesn't take me too long. All right, let's get this thing detached. I think I'll take this operation inside, see what's happening in there. If I can loosen it from the inside, it should be easier to pull the whole thing out from the outside. So, into the warmth I go. So that came off a little easier than I was expecting, and I don't know if you can really see it, but there's a little bit of creosote there, but nowhere near as much as there was before. So perhaps my precautions of being a little bit more careful of the wood I use and the fires I make is helping. So that's really good news. I would have been pretty discouraged had I opened the pipes up and saw loads and loads of creosote in there, because I have been trying to do things a little differently, and it's nice to see that it's had an effect. So next up I have to detach the adapter off of this one, which is this very top piece. I can't really get anything else together until I get that adapter off, and it does sort of seem like it's fused on, so that could be interesting. And then I'm going to give the oven a clean and reassemble everything with the new pipes. Okay, the stove is clean, very dusty and sooty in there, and with much effort I've finally got this thing attached. This is the essential piece. Without this I can't do anything, and it had sort of fused to the other piece. So I tried my hammer and chisel, but I was bending this guy out of shape, so I had to resort to the angle grinder, and it's not pretty, and I ruined a piece of pipe, but I got it off, and now I'm ready to angle grind the larger pipe to the right size and then reassemble everything, I hope. I don't really love working with the angle grinder. I find the noise it's too jarring. I don't love working with metal. I hope one day to find the love for working with metal because I can see it being very useful in many cases. But for now, it's a little bit too screechy, too sparky, but it's got to be done. Well, It seems like it's coming out easily, so I might as well do this outside. It'll be a lot easier. Come on. So here's where I'm at. This is quite draggy, so I'll have to sand that. I imagine it'll come out to be more or less flush with the wall. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how well clay is going to attach to the metal. We'll see. And then I've grinded the stone up there so that the pipe can push all the way through the wall. And on the other end, there's some overhang to give me some room to play with. So at the moment, I just want to see that the angle is okay so that I can attach this pipe here onto this pipe here and have it go through that pipe there. Come on. So the angle doesn't look great, but I can actually grind out a little bit more stone at the top, which means I can tilt this pipe up a bit more, which will, I think, be the correct angle. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty finicky and annoying, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can literally see the light at the end of the tunnel. That was a horrible joke. I apologize. What is my plan here? Who knows? I'm going to do some stuff and check back in when I have more of an idea of what stuff I'm doing. So I've attached this little extender bit on, which I think is 25 millimeters. And that's just needed so it clears all the way through the wall. So I'll stick it through and see where it pops out at the other end. Check the angles, and who knows what after that. Not I. Okay, I think this is about right. I don't want this part to be flush with the wall because I'd like to get some of that silver tape and tape all around the pipe so that water doesn't want to drip in. It's kind of a MacGyver solution, but it's the best I think I could do. I could also put kind of caulking or something in between here and pull it out every time I want to clean the flue pipe, but the tape is pretty easy to get off, so I think I'll just try that solution, at least for the first year. Okay, the pipe is up there. It's currently held on with tape. Not ideal. I can't light a fire with that tape, so I need to find the fireproof tape, which is around here somewhere. It is a stunningly beautiful day today, and it's a nice view from up on the scaffolding. But overall, it's been fairly frustrating. Although I have managed to get the pipe up, I still have some more work to do. It's just been a little slower than expected. And when you work on scaffolding by yourself, you're constantly going up and down and dropping things and forgetting things, and it just turns into frustration and makes everything go super duper slow. So I've got a bit of taping to do, and then I'm gonna call it a night. I acknowledge this is a crazy hack job. I'm literally taping my flue on. So that seems reasonably good for what it is. Like I said, I literally taped it on, but it's fancy metal tape, so somehow that makes it okay. So I'll check back in again tomorrow, where hopefully I have a lot more energy and I can finish this job off and check it off my list. It's not tomorrow, it's 2 days later, and that's because I had to go into town and buy yet another section of flue pipe. I had this piece of pipe, and then I ended up cutting it and realizing later that I shouldn't have cut it, so that's annoying to have to spend the money twice. But let me show you what I'm talking about, and hopefully it makes sense. Come here. Hey. Who's this? What do you think of the scaffolding? Have you been going on the roof? Are you gonna go up there? It's dangerous. You be careful if you do, okay? Okay. Bye. So I'm really happy to see this thing is still on. It's been super windy out lately, and I don't think tape is a good solution for attaching a flue pipe, but in this case, it seems like it's working okay, and it does actually feel super sturdy. So yay to that metal wood stove tape stuff. It's very impressive. But I'll be taking this part off today so that I can finish this job off. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about because it's a little weird. So this to me looks incredibly sketchy. You've got this little teeny tiny pipe supporting this big massive pipe. It doesn't look good. We've got this weird jaggy bit sticking out. And my goal today is to rectify this. That's where you are. It's a good reminder, don't store stuff in your roof. So the idea would be that this pipe here sort of butts up against this one, and I can tape it off with that magical silver tape and keep the rain out. And then when I need to clean the pipes, I just take the tape off and take this off, and I have some wiggle room to get the pipes off on the inside. This is my plan. Let's see how it goes. So you can see there's a little gap there, and that's what I'll cover up with the tape. And I think that's pretty good, but we have to go inside and see what it's doing in there. Okay, moment of truth number 75. Perfect. So I just need to chop this guy off at a 45-degree angle. Not exactly a scientific approach, but I think it's going to be accurate enough. I think I've mentioned a bunch of times before that I really don't love angle grinding metal. I'm more likely to avoid it than to try to get better at it. But I'm impressed with my latest cut. This is the cut that I made on the first pipe, and it's pretty scary looking. Lots of jaggy bits, not amazing. And here's another not amazing cut, but I think it's actually much improved. Or maybe not. On closer inspection, perhaps it's about the same, but I feel like it's slightly better, and I took a little bit more time with it, and I'm happy with it. I'm going to sand it up with a sanding attachment that I've never used before, so I'm curious to see how that works. But I also wanted to point out that I've basically roughed up the surface of the pipe so that hopefully, in theory, the lime and stuff and clay has something to try to grip onto. I don't know if it'll work or not, but for sure the slippery, shiny stuff is definitely not going to be great to grip onto, so I'm hoping it helps a bit. I did make a mistake and got a little bit carried away by going up here to the part that'll be outside of the house, so I'm wondering if that might cause an issue with rusting. So I'm a little annoyed that I did that, but I will keep an eye on it and hopefully it's fine. So I'll sand the pipe up and then we'll stick it in the wall. So this looks like it's for wood, but it says on the package that it'll do metal as well, so we'll see. I've never used the angle grinder as a sander before, so I'm quite curious to give it a try. Okay, that looks way better. That looks way better. Happy I did that. I'm not going to be afraid of getting stabbed by the pipe now, so that's good. And let's see, next step, let's fasten this thing into the wall. Okay, she's in. The pipe is in place. I'm really happy with that. But rather than continue on with the work, I'm actually gonna call it quits for the day. It's only about 1 p.m., but despite this beautiful, sunny, glorious weather, it's actually quite cold. And last night I was really, really cold. I didn't get the fire on until about 4 p.m., which is what I usually do. But I'm realizing that I should probably get it on a little bit earlier to allow the building to heat up a little bit better. So rather than rushing this and worrying about getting the fire on, I'm just going to reassemble the pipes, and I'm going to tackle this tomorrow morning instead. Well, it looks like the tape is still holding strong. The pipe is back on, and it's time to make a fire and get nice and cozy. But first, just look at how gorgeous this day is. Deceptively cold, but gorgeous nonetheless. So here I am, putting the fire on early, hoping for a cozy night, completely forgetting about the gaping hole in the wall. So, probably no hope for coziness, but hopefully I can deal with this tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It's a brand new day, and today's mission is to fill in this gigantic hole behind me. I'm at a bit of a time crunch today because I have some friends coming by at 3 p.m. to play cards, and I would love to have the fire on by at least 2 and get this job just finished. It was cold in here last night because of the gale blowing through the giant hole. So I have loads to do. I'm lucky that I already have a batch of lime mixed up, so that's good. And so by the time 3 p.m. rolls around, I'm really hopeful I have the stove on. I can sit down with a glass of wine and beat my friends at cards. So I have lots to do. Let's get started. Ooh, it's cold. I don't like it. Okay, I've got my tools of the trade. Mr. Burns is all wrapped up nice and cozy and hopefully has a nice lime defense barrier. And then in here, I've stuffed some rock wool, partially to maybe stop a draft from coming through, but mostly to make sure the pipe is held with equal spacing around it so that when I put it into the wall, it just stays where it's supposed to be. So this could be quite tricky because I don't have really good access. I probably should have removed the stove, but this thing is super heavy and it's not really a one-person operation. So kind of just want to get on with things, and I think with a bit of twisting and turning, I can probably find my way in there. It's quite difficult to film this. It's super dark and really cramped. And at this stage, I've probably delivered more wood stove footage than any one person really needs to see. So I'm just gonna keep going with the work, and I'll check in again when it's a bit more finished. Okay, things are getting serious. I'm up on a chair and I'm standing on the stove sometimes, and I'm basically just packing things in from above and hoping for the best. So far things seem to be going okay. This all seems fairly sturdy. Nothing seems to want to pop out of there. Kind of hammering things in quite tightly. I don't really know how I'm going to span over this part, but let's see. And then in there, I guess I'll just, I don't know, chuck some stones in with lime on a hope and a prayer and finish everything up from the outside. So things are going as planned. It's very enjoyable. I really do love working with lime and stone. I do have a bit of a time crunch though, so that's why I'm just going to power on, keep going, and I'll check in again, hopefully fairly soon, with a more finished product. Okay, I have been standing up on top of Mr. Burns. I had some stones in this bucket, my lime was here, and I've run out of lime, so I've stopped, but you can see that I've closed up the air gap. So I'm quite impressed with that, and I'm going to be so happy when it's finished. I could push on, I could make another batch of lime, but I have some friends coming around shortly, and I'd like to get the fire on so they're nice and cozy and warm in the house. The lime is obviously very wet. I've just put it on. I don't know how wise it is to stick a fire on and heat it up, but let's be honest, if this wall hasn't fallen down already, it's never going to fall down, so hopefully it's fine. I guess there could be some cracking and things, but it's all eventually going to be covered up with a clay render anyway, so it'll be okay. As long as the rocks stay put, I'll be happy, and I can't be cold. It's going to be -2 tonight, and that's just not cool. So I want to get the fire on, get the place nice and toasty and warm, so my friends don't have any excuses when I beat them at cards for the 3rd time in a row.
It's card time!
Yay! Are you ready?
Here to beat ya!
Are you ready to lose? 3rd time in a row?
No. We let you win those times.
Is that a threat?
It's a promise. It's a new day. It's actually the afternoon, and I've been working really hard on the wood stove, and I finished it off. At least finished it off enough for now. There's a couple small things I need to do, but I'm happy with it, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. First, I wanted to address some of the comments from the first video, but before I even do that, I actually wanted to say that before I started this channel, I was a little nervous about putting my stuff out onto YouTube. I know the internet can be a pretty brutal place, but I really do have to say that you guys out there who watch my stuff and leave comments are the nicest group of people. It really does make my day when I go through the comments and read all of the great advice, all of the encouragement, even constructive criticism. It's always done in a really nice way, and so I just wanted to say thanks everybody for continuing to comment and to make me feel supported and encouraged, and it just, yeah, it really does keep me moving forward, and so I just wanted to say a big thanks. So, after going through the comments from the first video, as usual, I got loads of great advice, loads of tips, and lots of questions, so I thought I would address a few of the questions and also explain why I did things the way I did, because I do have some reasons for the choices that I made. The first thing is that I think that the reason for the massive creosote problem is mainly due to the fact that I was burning unseasoned eucalyptus. It's really hard to get seasoned wood here in Portugal, where I am. My plan for the future is to buy the wood as far in advance as I can, find a place to store it, and hopefully then I can make sure the wood is seasoned to a better standard than if I was to buy it right before needing to use it. The reason I suspect the crappy wood for my problems is because that's basically all I burned last year, And this year I've switched over to oak, and I've basically burned fires every day for 2 months, and I haven't really had much of a creosote buildup. There's a little bit there, but that's the nature of burning wood, or so I'm told. So I do think the firewood had a massive impact on me last year, and I'm hoping that by changing the firewood out and trying to get seasoned wood, that's going to be one major solution to the problem, in addition to adding the insulated flue pipes on the outside and also just making better fires. Another thing that people asked me was, why didn't I just put the flue pipe going straight through the roof, completely vertically? And the reason is basically that I had a hole in the wall there already. These types of stone barn things, they often have these little holes that were used to support second floors. You run like a long piece of wood across them and build a floor, and the hole is where the wood sits in. And since the hole was already there, I thought that I would build off of that rather than going through my ceiling and my roof, which is actually quite a complicated endeavor. It's got these red bricks, it's got these concrete rafters, and then the entire thing is covered in like a icing of cement or concrete up on the top, and then you have the clay tiles on top of that. A lot of the advice I'd been given is if you have a roof that doesn't leak, don't mess with it. And basically, it was just too complicated. It was too complicated for me, and I already had a hole going through the wall of the house anyway, and so that's why I decided to go through there. The reason I did the 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle is basically because that's what I'd read. I'd read that 45-degree angles were just better, easier to clean. I hadn't anticipated having to disassemble everything, so I just decided to do 45 degrees. But I think this wood stove saga, the saga of Mr. Burns, is a really good example of how there's so many different ways to do things, and at some point you just have to weigh up all your options, weigh the pros and cons, and just make a decision. And that's what I've done. Nothing with this wood stove has been done without an insane amount of thought given to it. But at some point, you just have to make a call, you just have to start the work. And that's what I've done. And I'm happy with the results, and I will be continuing to monitor the situation. I've been waffling on for way too long. Let's go look at Mr. Burns' finished product, and I'll show you what I've done, and then be done with it, hopefully forever. So here we are. Behold the somewhat finished product. I still need to finish the wall with clay. That's a long way off, but I filled in the gaps with lime and stones, and I don't have a gaping hole in the wall anymore, so that is definitely a positive. Let's go take a look outside and see what I've done there. And then outside, I've basically filled the gaps in the wall, added a whole bunch of stones that look reasonably okay. I'm gonna have to come back and finish the pointing work and also scrape off the lime on the face of the rocks to improve things, but everything is super sturdy and I'm really, really happy with it. I still have to tape it off here to keep the rain out. I obviously still need to change the tape up there to a wooden block that comes out a bit further that I can screw into. And some improvements that could possibly be made in the future would be extending the flue higher so I get a better draw, so I'll be paying attention to that. I could also somehow insulate this little section here. So there's still definitely a few tweaks that I could make, but for the most part, I'm very happy and very happy that this job is done. I thought it would never end. So that's a wrap for work on the wood stove. I will be monitoring the situation to see how things go, but I'm not expecting that I'll clean the pipes out until the end of the winter, and I will certainly report back once I do and let you know how things look in there. So I hope you enjoyed the Mr. Burns trilogy. Well done if you got through all three. Please do like and share and all that stuff, and leave a comment, question, suggestion, whatever. I love hearing from people. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.